Hey guys, welcome back to the farm. Hey, in the parlor, in the milk house. This is where we store our milk, 2 bulk tanks. Thought we could have an open conversation today about milking parlors, specifically robotic milkers. I've had some friends, well, I wouldn't call them friends, but acquaintances that put robot milkers in over the years, going 15 years, maybe longer. And most of them aren't in business anymore. I don't know, I didn't get too in depth on why, but if you're putting one of them in, that's a long-term investment. So I can't imagine that it worked out too well. I want to get your guys' participation in the comment section. If you know people that run robots, if you've got robotic milkers, how you're liking them, honest opinion. Like I said, I've never used them. This is our parlor, 1965, one-sided, 8. Grandpa started this. Well, I should back up. We're not in here too often when there's no cows. That's why I thought this would be a good time. When Grandpa purchased this farm in 1959, he was milking out here. You see the ceiling's white. They paint them white. This was a stanchion barn. Actually, a lot of guys in Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, maybe even other parts, still milking these. Lower ceiling. Well, Grandpa, he was really thinking, we're going to go out and check these cows out too when we're done. It's March. Welcome to March. Got a little snowstorm last night to ring in the new month. And she's cold. Chilled off, but back to what we're talking about. So Grandpa decided to gut this out, put some support beams in. Over the years, we've had to beef these up. I cleaned this out with a skid steer. It's now the holding area. We'll move on back, and we've since added on and got a lot bigger of a holding area. But this was, 50 cow, and then Mom and Dad, 90 cow. He gutted it and made it the holding area. Put these steps on. There's 3 steps. These cows do pretty well. We got a big, heavy steel door here, rather, on a pulley. There's your pulley. There's a weight. Cows come in here, simple concept. Each gate opens up. Oh, that milker was getting hung for washing. She's already washed. I'm just gonna hang it here. Each stall. You guys seen my milking videos, but if you're new to the channel, this is it. And they flood in here. There's 3 exit ramps. We'll go on the back side of this, and I'll show you where the exit ramps come. But here's one right here. You pull this rope, and they go out. These other 2 have maternity pens, calving pens. If they're getting close to calving, you'll go down. I'll swing a gate, and they'll go behind this wall. But the thing about them robots, from what I've researched, they'll do about 50 to 60 cows per robot. So if we're milking 160 cows, we're going to need 3 of them. $250,000 a piece, plus setup and everything else. Let's just say simple math. It's going to be $750,000. That would be quite a payoff. I mean, they're saying you're going to get rid of labor, but if you can't really work on them things. Now, I got a brother that's pretty savvy on working on things. He might be able to figure it out. I was talking with my buddy Pat. He's over in Emmett. He's got a son like that. They're really smart at fixing things. So you could probably learn to maintain it. Again, leave a comment if you know. Does anybody ever learn to work on them themselves? Or do you have to bring in service? Because that service bill and down, that's definitely a con. One of the pros, when I went and looked at a guy that had his in, he had a TV monitor with all the cows listed on a spreadsheet. It was actually pretty cool, showing that them cows are coming in throughout the day, throughout the night, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I was kind of amazed. But the pro of it is your good cows. See these cows out sunbathing? Yeah, this is where our parlor ends. Grandpa put in 4 stalls, and we put in 2 more in the 80s, and then 2 more in the early 2000s. So that's why there's 8. But But you can see them cows, your good cows, the pro is, they're gonna come and get milked 3 times a day on that robot. The con is you're feeding them pellets. Now we feed pellets in the parlor here, and if you guys have any amount of a parlor, double 5, double 4, double 10, double 8, there's probably no feeding in the parlor. That's all for, you know, tie stall and stanchion barn. In a parlor like ours, we feed pellets. They're robot pellets. They're not cheap, but they get the cows in there, and it just makes milking a heck of a lot easier, a lot simpler. But that's the kicker that most people, I don't think about, is cows are hanging out nice here. Got one laying backwards. Is when you bring in some robots like that, you're going to be a little debt unless you can afford to pay cash for it. If you can afford to pay cash for it, shoot, good for you. But you're bringing in the robots, you're also bringing in a feed bill. And that's one thing I never really thought about until I was talking to my nutritionist about it, Steve. All them robots, they bring in pellets. Comes down, that's why the cow wants to go in them. So one of the cons, I would say, is you're not only getting a robotic milker, but you're getting an added feed bill, and that's never fun. I know all about that. I mean, hey, what we're doing here works, but it's you want as least amount of expenses as possible. Wow. So I spoke about not being able to really work on them. Correct me if I'm wrong, but for our parlor example, it's pretty simple. A lot of steel in there. We just took a day the other day and we welded on it and adjusted some of the handles. And our milkers are even pretty outdated, but you can rebuild them. They're new pulse milkers. Simple, effective. That's what they say when they're bringing in a robot and they're buying pellets. They said, well, the difference between us and a robotic milker is ours is paid for. A lot of you guys are saying maybe think about updating your parlor. I agree, it wouldn't be bad. But what we've been doing for the last 50 years really has been working. The only advantage I could see to putting in an updated parlor would be you would obviously milk faster, A, and then 2, B, the cows will be in the holding area less time. They wouldn't be standing, you know, you don't want them on your feet. So ours are standing on their feet a little longer than they probably should be. But a lot of times I'll go back and forth with guys. The goal of this is to be able to carry it on to the next generation. Keep your debt load low. That's going to be your best chance of doing it. So here's the back side of the parlor I was going to show you. There's your 1 exit ramp, 2 and 3. Excuse me, honey, coming through here. Walking amongst the land of the giants. These guys will crush you in a heartbeat, but they're pretty docile. How you doing, bud? And here's one maternity pen here. This was our original one. There's your exit ramp. Come down, I'll swing that gate and they'll just come right in here. Or they'll go out here, honey. Coming through. Yeah, they're out here sunbathing. It's heating up. It got cold last night. It's gonna get cold again tonight. But then here's your other one. This one here's not cemented purposely, because if a cow goes down and slips, needs traction, we'll put it in this sand pen and they can possibly get up. But come down there, swing that gate, and they come here and hang out and either have their baby or rehab. But here's what we did. And over the years, I was back and forth on wanting to spend some money and upgrade it. But at the way milk is right now and the way everything's going, I'm happy with what we've got. I'm happy that it's paid for. And it's just simple and it works. Yeah, it could be a little more efficient, but when you don't have a big note every month, it feels pretty good. You see how they did here? We had to frame this door in. When we expanded to these freestalls here, that allowed us to have a bigger holding area, and we needed it. You know, we pack 160 in here to get milk, and I thought I'd try to give you a little history of that being that that was the original parlor. Now there was an old hip roof barn here that ended right at that original barn. So we laid a barn right on top of that other one. And that's about the grade of it. So we had to build all this up and then we cemented it, but kind of laid out with the opening. We had a dead spot here. So we poured a curb. And you remember last year I raised all these stalls up, drilled through these blocks, kind of a pain in the butt. Those old blocks were kind of hard. This is where the original bar was. I probably moved it up about a foot. And you can see, I didn't come out here and shovel these. Well, early this morning I did. And they're utilizing them properly. So you guys tell me, is putting in robotic milkers a good move? I know everybody farms different and it's a personal preference, but it got me thinking, is it a good solution or is it a slow death? You put one of them in there hoping you're gonna not have to milk anymore, and all it does is prolong the misery, and then you're stuck with them things. And I don't know if people are buying them used. That'd probably be the way to try to buy them. I had a guy comment and tell us, he's like, if you were to get them, try to get some of them used ones. Excuse me. That'd be how to get them used. But I just don't see it. There's Big Red looking like he's getting ready to breed. I just don't think I'm going to take the risk. Because, I mean, if anything, I would probably put like a double 10 in, a used double 10 parlor. I don't think I'd go the robotic route. I finally have veered against it. Part of it's because you could be stuck to the service, and not just the service. They get outdated. So leave me a comment and tell me what you think. If you were in my shoes, would you give the robots a shot? Problem is, you can't give them a shot. You either go all in or you go all out. So I've done a lot of thinking on it and actually seen a lot of them working. I don't want to be married to them. I don't. Now, and you're talking to a guy who's not opposed to change. If you've been following the channel, you guys know we took a silo out of here. That was about a year ago. Started driving in there and dumping it. Never had a mixer. Got a mixer and threw all the feed on the ground with these bags. So I'm not afraid to try things new. But that really wasn't any debt. When you're talking debt, man, it can be scary. Looking like a big fall right now. It's that sun. One good thing I did the other day, I emptied my first big 10-foot by 250-foot long silage bag. And so now I'm moving down. I've only, what do I got? 2, 4, 6, 7 bags. Here's the corn that I transferred from that bag over here. I had to get it out of there. It's gonna warm up. It's actually gonna start raining next week. I transferred it here, graded this out because it's gonna freeze. And what I'll do is I'll load on the other side of that hay, and this is where I'll come up here, because this is my pad from here on over. This is gravelled. Through here, not as much gravel. So, but I'm not gonna have to go in here. I'm gonna be in and out. Then my hay bag, second cutting, July 20th, 2025. See how she looks. This chunk rolled off this morning. She's still fairly froze, but moist. I moved into some wetter, not extremely wet, but very good. The end of this bag was third, probably from about here. It must have been where I had to finish, where I started third. So now we're in the second, prime second. Cows are milking good. Milking, like I said, shipping more milk than we've ever shipped. And that was that was from adding the TMR. That took a couple years. It wasn't like you just switched to a TMR and bam. Maybe there was a little increase, but it was the ground corn now is coming in and everything's working together, you know. The weather's starting to turn, the sun, the cows like the sun. And you know, back to them robotic milkers, They will probably, I had guys say they'll increase your milk production because your good cows are getting milked. They're wanting to come in 3 times a day. But on the flip side, are you really making much more money when you're just buying more pellets to keep them things going? It's kind of my thought. But leave your comment, guys. Let me know if you think I'm thinking the right way, or if you would give it a shot. I like, I had to say it a couple times, that buying equipment and things like that, they hold their value, especially a tractor. Buy it right. Milking equipment just doesn't do it. If you mess up with milking equipment, it's not worth anything really when you're done with it. That's the problem with it. It's a shame, really, but it's the way it is. So knowing that, you got to be smart. You just don't throw up a calf barn or just on a whim just start doing things around here. You got to really think about it. It's just tough to see the way the world's going to be going. It's tough to see into the future. Now, if you got younger kids that are interested in the farm, kind of like my dad did, and I'm not trying to undercredit what he did, but he had 3 guys, myself and 2 brothers in their early 20s, that were going to be here long term. So when you've got that, we'll take a look at this ground corn. When you've got that, long-term planning can get a little simpler when you know you've got some young guns coming in hot and heavy. Our kids are a little younger yet, but yeah, here's my ground corn mixed with mineral and salt, going good. You got to be careful not to overfeed this. I'm only putting about a little over a half bucket. I just kind of eye it. You've got to be very careful, like Steve would say. You don't be overfeeding that. You give them diarrhea. So that's going good. That's simple. This barn, putting that hay there really helped keep the wind and the funnel. I think this is going to work out just fine. I ended up banking too much corn with them. I had Steve over at my barn. That's my nutritionist, and he started figuring out the numbers. I was making sure we weren't overpaying. For one, they had it as a pellet, so I was getting charged $17 extra a ton. And he said, that's not a pellet, that's ground feed, so I'm gonna back credit pay you for that. You know, that's Steve. If you guys know him, he's about as honest as you can come. You know, you got to get a guy you can trust, and he's very trustworthy. And then we realized I wasn't feeding that like I thought I was gonna. I don't know, we miscalculated. So I ended up being able to sell 5,000 or 5,500 bushel, which worked out because at the time corn was $3.70, and I sold that for $4.07 or something. So he's like, that's not what that's not what that's designed for, that feed bank. So you're not supposed to do that. He's like, but that was an honest mistake. Calculated it. He's like, you'll have enough through November. You can sell this much. So we did. So that was a good thing. That's why you got to sit down and talk with these guys sometimes. He was going, he's busy and stuff. So I was home that day with the kids. I'm like, just come right to my house. We were out in my garage where I do them live videos. And we sat there for a while. It was during those Punchki day. He brought me a whole box of Punchkis. And hang on a second. Brought me a whole box of Punchkis. My wife came out. She had to go to school. And in perfect Steve fashion, he finally meets my wife and he says, "Oh my God, Kip, I can't believe that. I thought that was your daughter." Because you guys know Rochelle looks really young. And I'm looking a little older, but she's 37. Got a birthday coming up. Anyway, back in the parlor. Just want to have this conversation. Yeah, a lot of guys will say, man, are them new pulse milkers? Yes, they are. We changed the rubbers. You can rebuild them. There's a diaphragm in here. It works. I can foresee us being milking in here for another 5 years for sure. I don't think I'm gonna dump any money into this. It just works. It works. It takes 3 hours to milk 160 cows at night. In the morning, it's a little longer because they're giving more. But if you guys missed my live videos, I had a live last week. To give you a quick rundown, I just went over some of the time I was in the military. Talked about possibly seeing a UFO. The wife and I, it was a Starlink train. If you ever seen a Starlink train in the sky, it's look it up. It's quite the, looks like a bunch of UFOs out there. Kind of trippy, but that's what we saw, a Starlink train. And talked about some other odds and ends. So I'll probably do another live video soon, but I've got to get better internet so it's not so grainy. And but yeah, we ended up putting this on in 2020. The milk haulers requested a second tank because they didn't want to come here and pick up one tank, not enough milk. Now they're picking up double. Plus, it's nice. It is nice having extra storage in case something were to happen and they can't get here. Or let's say one tank, you've got a cooling issue. These are the coolers. Let's say if one of these aren't working properly, the coolers are actually the compressors on the other side of this wall. But yeah, we made it bigger and taller. Works good. Like I said, we plan on being in the dairy business as long as possible. I tell some people, we're going to be in this until they force us out. And that's the sad reality, is the smaller farms like this are getting kind of pushed around. But we'll be in it as long as anybody else. That I can promise you, just because we like doing it. You know, I'm in here milking. I love it. I got a list. I keep everything. I pretty much do everything by hand. I got a list of here cows I'm going to no night. Cows that I'm putting extra attention with some cream on their teats. I'm getting rid of a couple cows next week. You keep them flowing. Cows that can't get bred, or cows that are not you know, maybe limping around, getting older. You just send them to market, and they get slaughtered for beef. I support the beef industry, but we like doing it. And I got 2 young boys. I've got one that's 5 and one that's 1. So you're going to be seeing me for a while. I'm not going anywhere. God willing, stay healthy. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here in another 30 years, and I'm 44. So yeah, that'd be good. That's a good goal. So on that note, guys, I want to thank you for sticking around. I wanted to touch on this because I'm wondering on them robotic milkers. And now maybe if you sell them things and you want to reach out to me and talk to me about it, and you've got a different opinion, that I'll be more than happy to talk to you. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a no-go. I'm going to stick with what we got, and then from here we might go to an actual double parlor. So no robots for us. Take care. God bless.